Twice. You're live. What's up, YouTube? Come on in, guys. Make yourselves at home. We're about to start my show, Jimmy Rants, over on Instagram. We're already live over here on my Facebook page. I see Sherry just came in. Thank you guys for coming in. Hang with me just a second if you're watching this on the replay. Skip forward a few minutes when we actually start the show. But I always start early with Facebook and with YouTube, kind of get you guys set, and then I start the show right here on Instagram. I will tell you, I just downloaded a brand new app called Rumble. So you may have heard of Rumble. It is one of the alternatives. Hello, Shirley, over on YouTube. One of the alternatives to YouTube with all the censorship that's taking place across social media. You've got Parler that's kind of like a Twitter type of format. And then you've got Rumble, which is kind of a YouTube type of format. I'm going to go ahead and be on some of those formats, not really do a whole lot until they get rid of us off of all these platforms. And if you didn't know it already, they're going to get rid of us on all these platforms. Just be ready for that. They have already shown a disgust for us in recent years, and now they're not even trying to hide the disgust anymore. They're just going to get rid of us. And so when that comes and you suddenly lose your favorite low carb, carnivore, keto personality, just know you could probably go to Parler and Rumble to find most of us. Now, this show here will always be available at jimmyrants.com. So if for some reason I'm no longer on YouTube, I'm no longer on Facebook and all the places you normally watch, go look for me on Parler. I'll be at Living Low Carb Man. And on Rumble, I'll be at Living Low Carb Man. So definitely get ready. Like the big purge, I just have a feeling it's coming very soon, and they're going to get rid of a lot of us off of these traditional formats. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but that is kind of my take on where we are with all of that. So if you're just coming in, we are about to start my show, Jimmy Rants. On Fridays, I do an Ask Me Anything. So this is your day to ask me anything. So literally ask whatever you want. Yes, Jen, I am back. I came back on Monday. And so I decided to come back a little bit early. I was getting a little bit stir crazy, and I needed an outlet for that stir craziness. And so I thought, what the heck? Let's come back and do Jimmy Rants. So I've been doing that all week. And so, yeah, go back and watch all the episodes this week if you missed any of them. But yeah, I'm back. I'm not sure what I'm going to do around the holidays just yet. But I guess we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, T-minus about 2 more minutes, you guys, and we'll get this show on the road. Like I was saying, get your questions ready for me, because when the time comes, I will need your questions, because this is Ask Me Anything. I literally can't do this show unless you ask me questions. Otherwise, it's going to be a very boring show. And it's my first Ask Me Anything in like 6 weeks. So you should have plenty of questions ready to go for me. And I look forward to answering those here in just a minute. But thank you so much for being here. I've got some cool headlines, just quickie little headlines. Almost all of them are on the V word. So that'll be interesting to go over at the beginning. I've got a few questions at the start that came in early, and then definitely want to get to your questions. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get this started a little bit early over on Instagram. So if you guys are ready, get your questions ready, because when the time comes, I want to come to you. All right, here we go. It's Ask Me Anything time here on Jimmy Rants today. So ask me anything. JimmyRants.com is the website. And as always, come join us right here. We are live at Jimmy Rants over on Instagram. So go check me out there. We do this show Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. So be there, be square. We always appreciate having you guys here. We also simulcast on my Facebook page as well as over on YouTube. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay. A whole bunch of you watch this on replay over there on IGTV. So as soon as this is over, we will put it right up on IGTV. So go watch the replay there. We also put the past episodes up over on YouTube. Type in the keyword Jimmy Rants, you'll find the show. And then finally, it is available over at our official website, jimmyrants.com. No matter what happens with all the social media, all of my episodes of Jimmy Rants will always be housed at jimmyrants.com. Well, today we do have an awesome show in store for you, because this is literally my favorite show of the week. When we do Jimmy Rants, we let you ask me anything, and it's literally your time to shine. If you want to ask questions, I have lots of answers to provide for you in the realm of keto and fasting and cholesterol and book writing and childhood trauma and building a brand. I mean, podcasting. I could go down the list of all these things I could answer your questions about. Or if you just have any question you have for me, I got a lot of really interesting ones that came in early we'll be getting to here in just a moment. But as always, I start with a few headlines, just quickie little headlines, not worth an entire Jimmy Rants on, but certainly worth talking about. And literally all of these, you guys, are about the V word for 9-1-DIVOC. If you watched a little bit earlier this week, you know what that means. Let's just do it backwards. 9-1-DIVOC spelled backwards is, oh, that'll be fun. All right, so let's get to this first one. This is from Vice.com. World's largest vaccine maker, and I said the V word, sues trial volunteer who alleged having side effects. So did you guys hear about this? So the world's largest V word producer, Serum Institute of India, they have sued a 9-1-DIVOC V word trial participant because they said they had serious side effects. And so they're filing a defamation lawsuit of $13.5 million, saying that the 40-year-old businessman is spreading malicious content about their V word. They said the man's illness had nothing at all to do with the V word. The volunteer is falsely laying blame for his medical problems on the 9-1-DIVOC V word trial. The lawyers of the V word volunteer have called the defamation suit intimidation tactics. The participant alleges that undergoing the trials caused a neurological and psychological breakdown that has now impaired his cognitive ability. So that's interesting, because there is the first indication that they ain't going to play around. You start pretending like you're getting some side effect from this V word, they're going to come after you. And see, here's the thing. You can't go after them because they've been indemnified of any culpability in any problems that you might get from getting the V word. This is why I'm trying to warn people not to let the V word be any part of yourself, your family, other people in your life you care about. If they know about what is going on with this V word, they won't come anywhere close to it. So help out your family members, help out the people in your life. My fear is, as they're starting to distribute this V word, they're going to be going to nursing homes and giving it to a bunch of old people first, and there will be people dying, and needlessly. Like, they don't need to be shot with this thing. I mean, they put them in the nursing home, protect them as good as you can, give them the best care that they can. But the V word is not going to be this be all end all. They think you get the V word and suddenly you're going to live forever. And it's just not going to happen. But Pfizer has the first V word, moving closer to getting the okay in the US. They released their first scientific evaluation. And this came out a few days ago, the analysis by the FDA. And they have issued, or they're about to issue, the final decision about when they're going to give them the emergency order to be able to distribute this. First shots could be followed within a few days. So I think within the next week or two, we're going to see the Pfizer version of the V word get out there. We also have Moderna is coming next as well, and AstraZeneca. So those three are all kind of in the pipeline to be coming out. And when it comes out, I posted a video on my stories, on my Living Low Carb Man stories today, where they're actually going to have the Coast Guard come in and help administer the V word. In other words, they're going to be giving people the shots. Now, depending on where you live, they may have you volunteer and and trying to like who gets it first. In other cases, they may be like, you know what, you got to get the V word, or we're not going to let you shop at this store, go to this concert, fly on this plane. Like, be ready for that, guys. I'm prepared that if they're going to make us have to take the V word to do stuff in life, I may be stuck with what I'm doing in this kind of general vicinity, because there's no way, no how I'm putting this thing in my arm. And no, there's too much trial. I want to see who starts growing limbs out of their head first. It ain't going to be Jimmy Moore. So that's kind of my take on that. All right. So yeah. So Pfizer will be the first one on deck. And I've been reading a lot of news stories where they're like, oh, well, we're deciding who gets it first, and there's so many people anxious for the vaccine. And I'm like, who? Nobody in my life is anxious for the V word. My mom has various comorbidities that would make her in the high risk category. She's definitely stayed separated and isolated all year long. But no, she doesn't want to take this thing. Of course, she listens to her son quite a bit, so I've told her a lot about these V words and how they've been developed and how quickly they've been developed. Do you realize we got a V word within about 10 months that would normally take 5 to 20 years? Do you know the reason why we have V words developed in 5 to 20 years? Safety, efficacy, long-term side effects. Like, we want to know all of those things, but there's no way that you can know all of those things unless you take that time. Now, they're pretending like, oh, we got to hurry because this thing is greatly killing people, with a 99.97% recovery rate for people under the age of 60. It's disgusting what they've done, but they're doing it. And so now we're having to play the game of it all. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes. But speaking of the V word, Cornell University, have you heard about this, out of Ithaca, New York, makes the flu vaccination, just the regular flu vaccination, not 9-1-Divock, but the flu vaccination mandatory, but only for the white students. I'm not kidding you. This is a story. Where's this story out of? Lawenforcementtoday.com. You can deposit this one in the already bulging drawer marked the soft bigotry of low expectations. Cornell University is requiring that white students receive an annual flu vaccination, while they give an exemption for students belonging to any other race because of, quote, historical injustices and current events. People of color will be granted an exemption from its requirement for all students to get a flu vaccination. You're forgiven if you get a migraine trying to untangle the logic of all this. Systemic racism and health inequities have individuals from some marginalized communities having concerns about needing to agree to such requirements. I mean, look, that's racism. Let's just say what it is. You can't say white people must take it, black people, if you don't want to, it's okay. I mean, I get it. We're in the year when we're supposed to be recognizing systemic racism and recognizing that we have injustices in the world, I get it. But this has pushed it too far. It's just gotten really ridiculous in this day and age. I don't know how that's allowed to stand, because that's discrimination against white people, making them have to take something that maybe they may or may not want to take, and then giving the option of in or out to black people. That's actually a 14th Amendment violation, which the 14th Amendment was part of the slaves getting free. So isn't that ironic that the very amendment that is involved with equal protection now is suddenly being used to give a pass to black people, but not to white people when it comes to the flu V word? Very interesting, huh? All right, I got two more. Oregon's segregated 911 DIVOC relief fund is blatantly unconstitutional. Did you hear about this? In the state of Oregon, hoping to strike a blow against both the pandemic and systemic racism, they have established a 911 DIVOC relief fund exclusively for Blacks and Black-owned businesses. The Oregon Cares Fund website accurately describes the program as unprecedented, and it's surely unconstitutional as well. In July, the Oregon Legislature Emergency Board allotted $200 million to assist small businesses suffering losses because of the pandemic and the shutdowns. Of the total, $62 million was set aside for the Oregon Cares Fund, whose website describes it as a fund for Black people, Black-owned businesses, and Black community-based organizations. Black families are eligible for up to $3,000. Black-owned businesses up to $100,000. So Maria Garcia, the owner of this business called Revolution Coffee House in Portland, applied for the support. She was denied because her business does not meet the criteria of having ownership that identifies as Black. She is sued now in federal court, alleging the denial violates her 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause. Last month, a federal court declined a petition in another lawsuit by a timber company to enjoin further distributions from the same fund. Both cases now await a ruling on their constitutional merit. But can you believe this? Oregon has done a segregated 911 DIVOC relief fund only for Black people and Black-owned businesses. What? Like, as much as they want us to be anti-racist, as much as they want us to deal with the racism problem, you don't solve racism with racism. You don't. And I grew up in a high school that had a whole lot of Black people. And honestly, I don't remember feeling segregated from them. We were just people. We were all in the same school. We didn't think of each other differently. A lot of my friends in that school were Black. It's just amazing to me that we have these kinds of things, that as much progress as you think we've made in race relations, these kinds of things make it worse. And we have, Cariana says, it feels like we've regressed. This is simply backward, ignorant, and racist. It is, directly. All right, one more, you guys. Yes. Did you know your boss can fire you if you don't get the 911 DIVOC V word, but there are exceptions. So this is out of KSL in Salt Lake City, Utah. Somebody had asked the local TV station there, can my boss force me to take this V word? So they took it to the attorney that they had for the TV station. She specializes in labor law, and she said, yes, generally with some exceptions. Those include if you have a disability, a legitimate medical reason that taking the V word could harm you. Also, a firmly held religious belief would also forbid it. So if you say Jesus doesn't want me to take it, or some other reason that's religious, maybe you could get out of it. An employer does not have the legal power to stick a needle into the arm of an employee, but they do have the power to fire you if you disobey any of their company policies. So if they make it a company policy that you've got to get the V word and you don't get it, and you don't give us a sufficient enough answer that would show that you're exempt, then they could fire you. As to how an employer can know whether you actually got the V word, it would be all about the paperwork. So yeah, isn't that interesting? So this is going to become a conversation as we move into the new year, as this V word starts to ramp up, as we have the various different kinds of ones that are going to be out there. Just be ready. Just be ready. Start thinking about these things now, because if you don't think about the ramifications right now, you're going to get blindsided. And I think you need to think of every single scenario. Will I need the V word to be able to fly again? Will I need the V word if I want to go to the movie theater? Will I need the V word? Like I'm seeing already some events are setting it up where you have an app on your phone and it connects to your health records. And in your health records, it's going to show that you got the V word. And if you can't show on your app that you've gotten the V word, they can forbid you from coming into their event. An employer could fire you. You could be forbidden from flying. Guys, I think life is about to change pretty radically over a virus that has a 99.97% survival. Like, is anybody else deeply disturbed by all that's happening? There's been things in our lifetime that have been far more deadly, far worse, that we've not really responded this way before. All right, I'm going to get off of my 9-1 Divock rant today because I want to get to your questions. If you're just joining us, this is Ask Me Anything on Jimmy Rants. And so this is your opportunity to literally ask me anything. So get your questions ready, you guys. When the time comes, I will come to you. I do have a few questions that came in early over here on my Instagram. My cats just passed by, and so I'm getting a little bit of the itchy nose from that. But I'm going to come to the questions that came in first. Then I'll come to Instagram, then Facebook, then over to YouTube. So get them ready. Thank you so much for being here today on Jimmy Rants. All right, let's see what we got in the pool of questions here. Oh, this was good. So what made you want to come back early? So I came back early because, quite frankly, I was going stir crazy. I went away, and I needed to get away when I did. So I'm dealing with an issue in my personal life this year, and a lot of challenges coming from that. And so I needed a little bit of time. I thought a couple of months would be enough time to deal with that and to try to process. And what I found myself doing in the 5 weeks I was away was I was over processing. I had too much time on my hand. And there's a song, Too Much Time on My Hands. So yeah, I had too much time on my hands, and I was like, you know what? I can come back, leave my podcasts off the air, so they're still not airing, but I can come back and do Jimmy Rants. I did start a brand new podcast with my best friend, Brittany Davis, and so we do that show One Step Deeper. It airs on YouTube on Wednesdays. Go look it up on YouTube, One Step Deeper. If you do a search for that, you'll find the show. But yeah, I needed to come back. I missed you guys. I missed this as an outlet. And quite frankly, some of the craziness post-election I thought would be done by now. But when I saw it's still going on, it's still not over, no matter what the AP and all the mainstream media says, this ain't over yet. I just felt like, you know what? I need to come back. And this is cathartic for me. I need you guys more than you know. And so coming back was, I think, the right thing to do. But thank you for that question. So this kind of is a follow-up to that one. So how are you generally doing? So that's a loaded question. I've been very open about dealing with something in my life. Personally, I really am not at liberty to talk about it publicly yet. But just know it's something that I've had to deal with pretty much the whole past year and a half. And it's been incredibly difficult on me. And until it's done, until I get past this issue, I feel like my life is kind of in limbo. My life is kind of stuck. And it doesn't help that the virus came along, and it doesn't hurt that I haven't been able to go travel and see people quite like I normally would. I'm a very people-oriented person. I'm a very I need people, I guess is what I'm saying, and the presence of people in my life in order to be who I am. And so I kind of feel like I've been robbed of that. And I know a lot of you guys have dealt with that as well. The isolation is killing a lot of us mentally. And so I've struggled with that. And I have my moments. I have lots of little toys that I can use. I got a hot tub back there. I got red light therapy. I got a sauna. I mean, I'm doing all the things, massage chair. I'm doing all the things to try to stay chill. But quite frankly, I miss seeing people. I love hugging people. I miss that interaction with people. And then you go out into the stores and everybody's got the mask on. And so you don't see smiles as much anymore. Humanity feels like it's been stripped. And that's coming with a mental health cost, you guys. Like, I know I can't be the only one dealing with some of that. And I've talked about this in a few previous Jimmy rants where what are we doing to ourselves? And if we, let's just stay with the mask for a second. If we stay masked up for another year, 2 years, what are we doing to the development of children who rely on those facial cues to learn human behavior? We're kind of becoming lemmings. And so I don't like that. And I'm very much somebody that loves the uniqueness of people. And right now I feel like we're all the same, masked up, told to be quiet. Yeah. So me personally, I'm doing the best that I can. But it is a struggle if I'm being honest. So that is the answer to that one. Here's a question. If nothing stood in the way, what would you like the world to look and feel like? Well, that's an interesting question. Is that just in general the world or my world? I'm going to assume you mean the world. So if nothing stood in the way, I don't really know what that means. What would you like the world? I guess what you're saying is, what would utopia look like if I had my druthers about a perfect world? Well, I think we would stop seeing color in people and stop so being divided along lines that don't matter. Like, I don't care what the color of your skin is. I don't care what your socioeconomic status is in the world. I don't care about any of the things that people seem to put a lot of weight in. I care about what's your heart. I care about what's your integrity. I care about who you are as a person. And if we could have everybody respect other people for the differences that they have and embrace the differences and celebrate that you have differences and honor each other in those differences rather than making everything a fight, why don't we come together, love each other, and do something good in the world? I saw an interview with Matthew McConaughey, who's got an incredible new book, you guys, if you haven't read it yet. But he's been doing a lot of the rounds. He was on Rogan. He's been on a lot of people's shows. And he was talking about this very thing where we have to get back our humanity again. We've lost it. We've given it up at the altar of being right, at the altar of digging our heels into one side or another. And he said, we need to get rid of the extremes, come back to the middle and meet. That's the way we used to be. America is no longer the United States of America. We are most certainly the divided states of America. There's a segment of the population that likes the country the way it was founded. They like the way things have happened. Yes, we've made mistakes in our history, but the principles that make America, there are a group of people in America that think it's still great because of those principles. Then you've got another group of people that think, oh no, we need to rip it all up, tear it apart, start all over again with a brand new kind of system that we think will be better. And you got those two groups living, coexisting in the same country. And I don't think that's going to end well. At some point, there will be some division that will lead us down a path that I don't think any of us really want to think seriously about at this point. But if nothing stood in the way, I would want the world to be more tolerant of each other and respectful towards each other. Unfortunately, I think Pandora's box is open and there's no way you're going to close it at this point. But thank you for that question. All right, here's a diet question. All these social questions and personal questions, and now I have a diet question. I keep seeing this thing about protein sparing. Is this just another type of keto? No, it's not. Well, yes, you will induce ketosis, and let me explain why. So protein sparing, you might have heard, is protein sparing modified fast. So PSMF is what it's called, is where it's mostly protein. So think about having a whole bunch of protein, but it's in a calorie restricted manner. There's no carbohydrates. There's no fat. It's pretty much just all protein. So imagine 800 calories worth of chicken breast. Okay. I don't even know how much that would be, 800 calories worth of chicken breast, but I'm assuming it would be a boatload of chicken. And you would eat that and you do it for a period of time. It's supposed to shed fat very fast. with the hypocaloric nature of that and with the no carbohydrates, I would say you would be in a very intense state of ketosis doing that. You get a little bit of a glucose effects because of the excessive amount of protein and no fat to help blunt that effect, but not enough to really squelch your ketones. So I'm not a fan of anything that has you under eat calories unless it's for a very specified short period of time. Like if you wanted to do a protein sparing modified fast for 3 days, I think that'd be fine. 2-3 days. And some people even do that to kickstart getting into nutritional ketosis, and then they go to a more traditional type of ketogenic diet. But that's what that is. So thank you for that question. What books did you read during your time off? So I was off for 5 weeks. Honestly, I didn't. I took that time to be in solitude and to be with my own thoughts. And maybe that's why I started overthinking the thoughts. Was I had so many thoughts about so many things. And I think anybody that's gone through things in their own life can relate to this. When you're going through stuff, you just need time to think. You need time to step back away from all the regular hustle and bustle. So I didn't really feel the need to read any books. There are some books out there that I'm very much looking forward to reading, not just nutritional health types of books, but other ones that are out there. I'm really digging, looking into the ones, looking at trauma, looking at why you believe what you believe. Those kinds of books are becoming very interesting to me. So stay tuned. Maybe I'll do a Jimmy Rants where I go over some of the books, kind of give you like a recap of my thoughts of any books that I read, and I'll do that in 2021. But thank you for that question. And that's all the questions I had that came in early. So now it is your turn, you guys. I'm going to come here first to Instagram, then over to Facebook, finally over to YouTube. Give me your questions. This is Ask Me Anything here today on Jimmy Rants. So ask me anything, jimmyrants.com. And don't forget, we are now right here live, brand new Instagram page, Jimmy Rants. If you're going to look me up over on Instagram, we do go live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern time, right here on Jimmy Rants. Kelly says, what do you think about Frank Tufano saying that carnivore almost killed him? Yeah, I don't really know much about Frank Tufano. I did see the story, so thank you for that. I mean, look, I think sometimes people do things and say things as influencers just to get attention. I have never been one of those people that feels like I have to, shock people. If I came out and said, oh no, Jimmy Moore denounces keto and embraces veganism, would I get a headline? Oh yeah, you bet I would. Would it be a disingenuous show? Yeah, you bet it is. So again, I know nothing about this Frank guy other than the story I read about this where he thinks carnivore almost killed him. I don't see how it does unless you choked on a piece of steak, how carnivore could kill you, or if you slipped on the bacon grease and busted your head open. Like, I don't see how carnivore is doing anything of the sort. But again, I think there are attention whores out there who will do anything they can to get it. And I don't know anything about this Frank guy. So I don't know what his motivation was for doing that, but he is getting a lot of attention for what he's saying about it. So I guess mission accomplished for him. Holly says, is this V word being developed different than the other V's? Yes, it is. So this, and I just talked to somebody in a DM just this morning. They're like, I'm trying to explain to my parents why this V word is not the same as other V words that have been out there because they think it's the same thing. This will be the very first modified RNA V word. Now, you may not know what that is, but just know modified RNA. Think about the word Moderna, the one of the companies that are making this, Pfizer, Moderna, and AstraZeneca. Moderna, look at the word Moderna. MODERNA. It stands for modified RNA. So it's literally right there in the name of their company, what they're doing. And we've never had modified RNA V words before. This will be the very first one in the history of the world, and it was developed in 10 months. Now, modified RNA V words, they can actually change your DNA, and they will be a part of who you are the rest of your life. Now, depending on where you're looking, you could go really deep into the conspiracy theory sites and see all kinds of things about how they can control your emotions and all this kind of stuff. I don't know about that. All I do know is if this has never been done on mankind before, they've never done any trials on this. Remember, they rushed through the phase 2 and phase 3 trials of these V words. We don't know what the effect will be. I don't think anybody should be standing in line waiting for this V word. Now, if you want to get one for the seasonal flu, knock yourself out. It's different than this one. 9-1 Divock, all bets are off. Guys, I'm bracing because I think we're going to have a lot more deaths from the V word than we will have from 9-1 Divock. Watch what happens. Joshua, are they admitting that the flu shot is dangerous then? If it's all good, how can it be an injustice? Well, I think what they're seeing, going back to that article about not forcing black students to take it, but making all white students take it, I think it goes back to the Tuskegee incident with syphilis and how they did those experiments with those black people, and then they ended up dying because they got the placebo. And so maybe there's a little bit of that skepticism that they're trying to acquiesce. I don't know. Regardless, it's racist what they're doing. We're happy you came back early. Thank you, Kat. I'm glad I came back too. Thank you, Holly. Thank you, Joshua. Holly says, will you be going back to your mom's for the holidays? No, I'm staying here. I'll be home for Christmas right here. And my birthday is 2 days after Christmas. And so, no, I'm not going home. I went to see my mom and my sister at Thanksgiving. And so, yeah, I have nowhere to go for Christmas. So I'll be here. That's where I'm going. Joshua says, I've been naturally falling into one meal a day. OMAD. Yeah, it's easy to do that. It's very easy when you eat keto, get very well fat adapted. Your body just isn't hungry enough to eat. So why not just OMAD? It's beautiful. Cariana, I would love a Jimmy all-time best books, keto or otherwise. Oh, that's not fair. I'm going to leave so many of my friends out. Let's see. My all-time favorite books are Keto Clarity, The Complete Guide to Fasting. I can't insult anybody if I give my own books. So yes, Keto Clarity, Complete Guide to Fat. No, I'm not going to do that. Wow. Best books of all time. In the nutritional health space, write these down. If you're new to the community and you've not really been out there a long time, write these down. If you want to get kind of the history of where we've been in kind of the low carb space, I would say read Dr. Atkins' Diet Revolution, not the new one, not the new Diet Revolution. Dr. Atkins' Diet Revolution came out about the year I was born. It was 1972. I was born in December 27th, 1971. But 1972, get the original one. I would also say get Dr. Atkins' Health Revolution. Both of these are available on Amazon. The Health Revolution book, a lot of the things we're talking about with like gut microbiome and kind of chelation therapy and these other alternative things, high dose vitamin C and vitamin D, Dr. Atkins was way ahead of the game. So if you want to see just how brilliant that man was, no matter how vilified he's been, go back and read those original seminal books. Then I would say Weston A. Price's book, somebody write it down there, Nutrition and Degenerative Diseases or something like that, where he talks about the connection between our health, and as a dentist, between kind of like traditional cultures and what they ate. That would definitely be a big one to read. I think Good Calories, Bad Calories by Gary Taubes is certainly a good one to read. That one came out in 2007. Around 2011, we had Nina Teicholz's The Big Fat Surprise come out. And like I said, there's been so many like really good seminal books out there. Here's another one by Steve Finney and Jeff Volek, The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Living, which I actually contributed the last chapter of the book. Yeah, so I mean, I could go down the list of a bunch of nutritional health books. But yeah, hopefully that helps you out. Thank you for that question. You can drive to Kansas where we'll have ribeyes on Christmas, says Holly. That's quite a drive to go from South Carolina to Kansas, but I appreciate it. Yes, thank you, Joshua. Nutrition and physical degeneration. I had it on the tip of my tongue and I'm like, oh, I'm just drawing a blank. And yes, Joshua also says Deep Nutrition. That's Dr. Kate Shanahan wrote that book. I had Kate on the podcast earlier in the year with her new book that just came out. But all right, thank you, Instagram. Keep your questions coming for Ask Me Anything, so keep them coming. We're going to pop over here now to my Facebook page. We're going to come over here in just a minute, YouTube. Thank you for being patient. What's up, Facebook? Hello, hello, Misty. Good to see you. Good morning, Mandy. Website is up now. Oh, that's cool. Yay. Hey, give a shout out for your website. We'll tell everybody about it, Mandy. Robert says, is the Kerrygold butter better for keto? I got off keto for a while, starting up again. Well, Kerrygold butter, thank you for that question, by the way, cousin. Kerrygold butter is just a high quality version of butter. It's grass-fed, so it's got more nutrients in it. But as far as like the macronutrients, it's butter. So it's going to have mostly fat, no carbohydrates, and minimal protein. So it's butter. And plus it tastes better. And so if it tastes better and it makes the food you eat taste better, then yeah. I mean, if you can afford it is what I usually tell people. I get mine from my Costco around the corner. I know you don't have a very convenient Costco to you, if you even have one close to you at all. But yeah, I like Kerrygold just because it does make the food taste better. But really, if it's just the macronutrients you're looking for, any butter will do. Mandy says that violates HIPAA, though. How can they get away with this, including the current proof of V words? I will never understand that. Yeah, it is crazy. There's so many lawsuits with some of these things I talked about. Sherry says, I wonder what the masks are doing to our brains, not getting fresh air. Oh, Sherry. And not just not getting fresh air, getting recycled air back into our system. So you're breathing in your own CO2. I've heard people reporting passing out and getting very sick and headaches and not sleeping well. It's having ramifications. And see, nobody cares about that. Just put on the damn mask and be a good American. And I'm like, you got to use some sense here. And at least a lot of the businesses, at least here locally where I live in South Carolina, they don't have a problem you coming in without a mask on. And when I go into a store that requires a mask, but they don't say anything to me for not wearing one, I keep my big mouth shut. I don't talk. If an employee says, thank you for coming, I usually wave. And I don't interact with other people. I'm not talking and spitting particles in the air. I'm just being good. And then I stay 12 feet away from the nearest person. Now, yesterday I was in a grocery store and this little kid, maybe 3 or 4 years old, said, what's your name? What's your name? What's your name? Kept looking at me and what's your name? And the mom's right there shopping. I guess she's used to the kid always doing that. So I did speak up because I can't help myself with kids. And I said, my name's Jimmy. I should have done, my name is Elmo. I would have freaked that kid out. But I said, my name's Jimmy. What's your name? Benjamin. Oh, hi, Benjamin. So I was friendly to the kid. But, and he had no mask on, by the way. Neither did the mom. So I thought that was interesting. But they don't say anything to you, at least around here. Kira says, hey, Jimmy, I have the NutriSense CGM, and I'm noticing my glucose is going high right before I wake up. Perhaps the dawn effect is this serious. I think it's impacting fasting ketones. Why would this start, and does it go away? It's normal, Kira. And I've talked about this many times before. It is somewhat of a dawn effect, Shimoji effect, but think about it this way. How do you wake up in the mornings? You wake up in the morning because you start to get a cortisol response in the body about 2 hours before you wake up that helps to wake you up. And that cortisol response rising raises your blood sugar levels. Okay. So when your blood sugar levels go up, it makes your insulin happen. And so that's why sometimes in the morning time, you will see a higher blood sugar reading. If you get blood work done in the morning, even in a fasted state, and you get a fasting insulin done first thing in the morning, shortly after you wake up, it's also going to be a little bit elevated, which is why I tell people if you get blood work, have them do it at, say, 10 or 11 a.m. after you've been up a few hours. Obviously, you can make it not eating until it's time to go get it. People try to get it the earliest, but a more accurate way to be is about 10 or 11 for that. So that way you've been up, you've got that cortisol response calmed down, your blood sugar will calm down, your insulin will calm down, and everything will be cool. But no, it's a natural part of the thing that wakes you up. So don't freak out. Don't freak out. Misty says, I have noticed a lot of people crankier and more depressed. Also, a lot of people talking about eating more and having trouble controlling their cravings while sheltered in place, whether they're keto or not. Do you think there will be an extreme rise in mental health help needs, or do you think people are just redirecting their mental health in destructive ways already? And that's why we are in such a bad way in this country. Misty, I think it's both. I think people are handling it really bad. If you look at some of the viral videos on the internet right now, people be crazy. People have done lost their rocker. And I think we were already teetering on it long before 9-1 DIVOC came along. People were already teetering, but all of this stress of everything has pushed people to the brink. And this was my thing. I was talking about this way back in March and April. My biggest concern with 9-1 DIVOC is not 9-1 DIVOC and who gets sick and who dies from it. I am more concerned about the mental health consequences that won't just happen in 2020. They're going to go on and on and on. This is going to have ripple effects for years to come. And some people won't come back from it. Some people will stay down that rabbit hole of substance abuse, alcohol abuse, physical domestic violence abuse to let out their frustration, food addiction. I mean, you can go down the line of all the ramifications of what this is going to have. So yeah, if you're in the mental health profession, you're next on deck. If you're not already being implemented and used right now, a lot of them are. But if you're not already being used, the medical profession needs a break. And at some point, the mental health profession is going to have to take over to help with a lot of people dealing with all the everything that 2020 brought us. But yeah, it's not going to be easy. And I can tell you, I have a life coach that I talk to not very regularly, but regular enough, probably every 6 to 8 weeks, 12 weeks. And she's a licensed therapist. And I was asking her about that recently. And she said, oh yeah, almost all of my clients are like pushed to their brink. And she said, I don't know how I'm going to keep up with all the needs because it's bad. It's already really, really bad. Mandy says, my website, roundtoitkitchen.com. So you guys want to go look up some beautiful treats. My friend Mandy Hale over here on Facebook, roundtoitkitchen.com. Round to it is T-U-I-T is how you spell to it, roundtoitkitchen.com. I have a funny story about Round to It, Mandy. I don't think I've ever told you this before. But when I was in college, I was going to undergrad. I remember I was a freshman, and they have the orientation week for all the freshmen when you first get there. And I remember having all these tables set up of all these organizations on campus and da-da-da. And I remember one of the guys that was in front of the table handed me this wooden coin, and he said, have you ever gotten around to it before? And I grabbed the coin and I'm looking at him like, around to what? And he picked up the coin. He said, CTUIT, round, because it's a round coin, to it. Have you ever gotten a round to it before? And I went, oh, okay. And it was for the Baptist Student Union. And a year later, I did decide to get involved in that BSU organization, but I just thought that was funny. That I'd never heard of a round to it before, so I don't know where you came up with your name, but roundtoitkitchen.com. Go check it out, you guys. My cousin Robbie says, yes, we're getting burnout in EMS. He's an ambulance driver, and stress from so many patients that are sick. And that's the thing too, Robbie, is people just think the only thing you're allowed to get this year is 9/11 DIVOC, but people are still having heart attacks. People are still having strokes. People are still needing screenings. And when they don't get those things, they have to call people like you, and then they're in trouble. Critical care is one of the most expensive cares that we have in our medical system. And they want to talk about, well, our hospitals are to the brink. Well, it's not all 9/11 DIVOC patients. They're pushed to the brink because these people are scared to go to the hospital because they're afraid of getting 9/11 DIVOC, or they're just scared to get out. So sorry that you have been burdened by that. And I've been thinking a lot about you and how you've been handling this, but thank you for that update, Robbie. All right. Thank you, Facebook. Let's pop over here now to my YouTube channel, see what you crazy people have to say. What questions do you have for me here today? Craig says, Jimmy, can you do the Wim Hof breathing during cold showers, or should those be two separate practices? I wouldn't do it the first time. So let me explain. So Wim Hof is this really cool guy. He was on Michaela Peterson's podcast just this week, and he's a incredible guy. He's done a lot of work on cold therapy and putting your body to an extreme. And one of the things that he does is this Wim Hof breathing technique. I'm going to kind of try to show you what it looks like, but this is going to be horrible. So don't mimic Jimmy Moore. Go look up Wim Hof, WIMHOF. So Wim is his first name, HOF is his last name, Wim Hof, and it's kind of this. And so you're getting in a lot of air suddenly into your body, and you're getting it out to get rid of the carbon dioxide. And so what that did, hang on a second. I got starry-eyed when I did that. It floods your body with a lot of oxygen just suddenly. Yes, it does. And so that is a breathing technique that I've seen demonstrations where he's done a lot of those back to back to back to back to back, 50, 100 of them. I could probably get through about 20, and that was only like 5 or 10, and I was already getting like dizzy. So I say master that first, Craig, before you try hopping into a cold shower or an ice bath and do it. Now, I know Wim himself gets in like ice baths and does his Wim Hof. It's a little bit dangerous because if you pass out and you're in ice water and you got nobody else around, yeah, that's not very, very safe. But in general, I think it could be good. And the cold thermogenesis that you get from the cold showers, you could do them together. I would just say work your way up to it. If you're already doing cold showers separately, if you're already doing Wim Hof separately, at some point you could bring them together if you feel like it would be beneficial. But thank you for that question. Do you think you may feel differently about the C word if you worked in the hospital or long-term care? What's the C? Are you talking about the V word? Would I think differently about the V word if I was in the hospital or long-term care? No, because my thinking on it has nothing at all to do with the who. My thinking on it is the what. And the what is, this is a very quickly produced V word. that we've never had in the history of the world a V word come this fast. We've never in the history of the world had a modified RNA version of the V word. I don't want the population to be the guinea pig. I don't. And I think if we're going to do this properly and we're going to provide a V word that's going to be effective against 9-1 DIVOC, let's do it the proper way. Let's go 5 to 20 years to develop it. That's how long it takes to develop one of these things. So no, I don't think if I worked in the hospital or worked in a long-term healthcare facility that my vision would be any different. Now, those people, I would make sure are given the best care that they possibly can have. There's plenty of treatment options that are out there. Make sure they're all on high-dose vitamin C, high-dose vitamin D, which I still take very high doses of vitamin D, zinc. I would even give them hydroxychloroquine as a prophylactic. I think you could put them in a good spot without injecting them with this questionable V word. So no, my opinion would not be any different if I worked in a hospital or a long-term care facility. But thank you for that question. As a healthcare coach that loves to bake, I wanted to help people get around to it. Get around to making healthier choices and easily. Oh, that's cute. That's cool, Mandy. roundtoitkitchen.com. All right, let's go back over here. Gail said, I was told I have familial hypocholesterolemia, and every doctor keeps trying to get me on a statin drug. I refuse. Is there a hack to get the total number down for the blood test? Well, there actually is, but let me stop on the familial hypercholesterolemia. Let me push back, because sometimes they'll tell you you have familial hypercholesterolemia, but they have not run the test. So the test that they can run for familial hypercholesterolemia is from Ambry Genetics, AMBRY. I told this story, by the way, in Cholesterol Clarity. I was also told I have familial hypercholesterolemia. I was told that by a doctor, and I was like, oh, okay. So I always assumed I had high cholesterol because of a family history, because I have familial hypercholesterolemia. So then I got this test from Ambry Genetics, and it came back with a 5% chance, which basically meant, no, I don't have it. So I would ask your doctor, Gail, oh, have you run the Ambry Genetics test to see if I have this? Because that test ain't cheap. I paid out of pocket $1,800 for it. So unless you paid a big bill to have that Ambry Genetics test done, I wouldn't believe that you have it. So that's number one. Number two, the statin, definitely pick up a copy of Cholesterol Clarity. Chapter 5, I get into the statins. Your name is Gail, so you're a woman. Statins have never been tested on women. Not one single time have we ever had a study where they tested women taking a statin medication and what the impact is. So that's another bonus. I also would ask the question, okay, what is the proof that LDL and total cholesterol are harmful when you have triglycerides under 100 and HDL over 50? I would also ask for an HSCRP to see what your inflammation marker is, because these are all signs of actual numbers that are relevant. I would also ask for a CT calcium score. So that's the CT heart scan that you can have run. And if you get that thing run, it'll come back and give you a heart calcium score. All of these things should be taken into account long before you start taking a statin drug. And in fact, I did a Jimmy Rants earlier this year where the statin guidelines were actually changed, where you have to get a CT scan before they even come back to you trying to push a statin medication on you. What can I say to them to get them off my back? My total cholesterol was in the high 400s. Well, it is possible you do have familial hypercholesterolemia, but a statin medication doesn't fix that. So I don't know what to tell you, because you're not giving me your triglycerides or your HDL or the HSCRP. All these other numbers matter more. And you could get an NMR lipoprofile test to see what the quality of that LDL is. the 400s doesn't really tell me what your number is. Is it high? Yeah, it's high, but that doesn't mean it's dangerous or anything. It just means it's high for whatever reason. You're having trouble clearing that cholesterol out of your body. Raging Vocal says, wow, they never tested women on statins. Amazing how they shove it down our throats. They do. They do because they can. They do because they can. Okay. Let me come back over to Instagram. Thank you, YouTube. I'm waiting for Judy Cho's book to get here. Yeah, I got a copy of it. I think it's over in my other building, but the Carnivore Code, I think is what it's called. I'll be having her. I'm going to try to get her on the Living La Vida Low Carb show. I'm going to start back, by the way, interviewing people for the Living La Vida Low Carb show on video. I may have to delay getting the podcast back in audio form just a little bit into the new year until things calm down. But I will be doing an interview with Judy Cho about her book. Yeah, Carnivore Cure. Thank you, Holly. Del Bigtree has an interview with OSHA PPE experts about the masks. Doctors aren't mask experts. Yeah, there's so much conflicting information out there about masks. I just wish they would allow people to see all of the information and not just one side, which we've talked about before. If you ever wanted to get into the mental health profession, now would be the time. Yeah, if you can handle it. I mean, it's trial by fire at this point, but there are a lot of people suffering, that's for sure. The question is, why are they banning and censoring doctors that say they have a cheap cure? Well, because they're going to make a lot of money off this V word. So if you can make a lot of money off of a V word and you convince people that those things are useless and not going to be effective, you've got the perfect market to make billions, maybe trillions of dollars. And here's another thing they don't tell you about these V words. Some of the major contributors to the V words that are getting out there, they're going to be some of the first ones shot into the arms of people. Dr. Fauci, Bill Gates. Like, we got big boys making a lot of money. And I wouldn't be surprised if the CDC director who keeps saying, oh my God, we're going to have a 9/11 every single day. I saw that headline today. There's going to be a 9/11 death total every single day if we don't get this under control. It's all hyperbole to scare the living bejeebies out of you so that you keep on staying in fear and eventually take this V word. That's what it's all about. Don't buy it, you guys. Holly says, Cholesterol Clarity, amazing book. Thank you. Angie says, Dr. Fung has a new book called Cancer Code coming out. Yes, that's right. Carnivore Cure, Dr. Judy Cho, Cancer Code, Dr. Jason Fung. That's true. Thank you for that. Looks like another question came in. What are your thoughts on Josh Axe getting the axe on Facebook? Oh, I love your play on words there. So Dr. Josh Axe is one of the alternative health people out there, does talk about the ketogenic diet. I'm not surprised. Let's stop pretending like all of this censorship that we're seeing in 2020 just suddenly started. They have been coming after those of us in the alternative health space for years, you guys. And I've been around for over 15 years. I would say that I really noticed it starting right at about a decade ago. And they would do little things here and there to try to frustrate us. And then once the message of paleo kind of got popular, and then keto came along, now carnivore, they have not liked that we get people off of pharmaceutical drugs. They don't. And so you've got to keep that in mind, that all the things they're doing now is to try to keep people from getting information that can help them. And it's not just in the alternative health space. They're doing it across the board. It's almost as if somebody is pulling the strings of, all right, let's see, we need vegan agenda. We need to have this political bent. We need to have that. And they're basically pulling all the strings that says, okay, anybody that doesn't fit within that paradigm must be plucked out, removed, and banned. And unfortunately, that's what happened to Josh Axe. It's what's happening to so many people right now. So I'm not surprised, which is why I keep telling you, you're watching me now on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. But if one day, poof, I'm gone, know that they are going after all of us. And eventually they will get to all of us. And it's just an inevitability, which I think is a perfect business opportunity for other people to step up and give an opportunity for voices to be heard on other platforms. Right now, it's Parler is the big one that's kind of a social media type of one. And then Rumble is the one I just joined today. I think once I get my iPhone 10 back, I will have a fourth feed that will be the Rumble feed. And at some point, if all of these goes away, I'll still have JimmyRants.com for all the past episodes, but all the new episodes will be on Rumble. So stay tuned, you guys. I mean, we have to be ready in case they decide to yank us all off these platforms. My husband finally started reading your book, Keto Clarity, and was so impressed and excited to learn. Now, when I scream inflammation, he understands me. That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, this little book here has been such a godsend for me. So many people have written me over the years and said this book saved their life. And it's interesting. This book almost didn't happen. I've told this story many times before, but when my publisher came to me in 2012 and they said, hey, we want you to start writing books for us. What do you want to write about? I said ketogenic diets. And they were like, oh, nobody really, that's a fringe topic. Nobody's really interested in that. Oh, you're so wrong. And they kind of made me choose another book. That's why I did Cholesterol Clarity first. But then Keto Clarity came out and it did very well commercially. And so needless to say, they became fans of ketogenic diets. And then the keto world came out and all these people and books and conferences and all the everything. So that's good to hear, Rage and Vocals, that your husband's getting it now. So that's cool. That's really cool. Well, guys, that is it for this episode of Ask Me Anything on Jimmy Rants. And as always, pop on over to JimmyRants.com. You can see all the past episodes over there. We do go live right here on Instagram. Go look up Jimmy Rants over on Instagram. We go live 11 a.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay right here on the Jimmy Rants Instagram page on IGTV. We also put the past episodes up over on YouTube. Type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. And yeah, that's it, guys. So I will be back again next week. I am already gathering a few different articles. I did find this one today. Researchers identify a new personality construct that describes the tendency to see yourself as a victim. That one looked really, really interesting. I will definitely put that on the docket for next week to talk about. But I'm never at a shortage of things to talk about, so don't worry about that. But until then, have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday. Bye. All right. Download, save, boom. Move that out the way. Well, I guess I'll leave it right there. Well, thank you guys for being here today. It's great to see and hear you live again. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Rage and Vocals. Yeah, I love being back. I needed to get away, but I thought I would need 2 months and I needed 5 weeks. So I'm glad we were able to work it out. And I think you guys like the new format with my computer here on the YouTube feed. So thank you for all your feedback about that. Yeah, I got a little microphone there. I could get real close. Hello, baby. Oh, yeah. Does it sound good now? They're like, stop talking like that. See, I could talk directly into it. This is the kind of microphone that when I was in my podcast recording studio, I would use. This is called a Blue Yeti microphone. And so it's got a nice, deep, rich sound. See, I sound like Abel James now. Oh, baby, yeah. Coming to you live from Spartanburg, South Carolina. Nobody will do it like you, Abel. You are the master, my friend. You are the master. But thank you, Facebook, for being here. I'm going to pop off of here because I'm getting silly now. So, bye. The resemblance is impeccable. No, not to you. It's not.
What's on Facebook?
Not to you. That really is keto clarity. Yes, yes. I love having fun in life. Life's too short. I think too many people act too seriously all the time, and they don't understand this world could be so much more fun if they would just put the fun in it. Yeah. Should I sing? No. I have gone officially delirious because it is Friday and it's time to go. So good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. Sha-na-na for all of you 80s fans. I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave while I can. Have a great weekend, you guys. We'll see you on Monday. Bye.